Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iowa Pagan News on the Prairie Land Radio Network. This evening, I am joined by my special guest, Sirona. I knew I was going to blow this one, Sirona Rose, who basically she is a uh, third degree in European Celtic witchcraft and Wicca, and she is also the column writer for Circle of Ancient Sisters. And I recently came across her talking with my brother Lone Wolf just the other night. So I wanted to invite her to be a part of Iowa Pagan News. So she graciously accepted. And I want to say good evening and welcome. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Good evening. Hello, everyone.
So basically, now I was only, this was bad. I only caught a part of your interview with my brother the other night, but tell us about your background and your training involved in becoming a third degree and uh, what has got you to this point today.
Oh, wow. It's kind of a long story, but I'll really shorten it. I have been on my consciously on my pagan path for 20 years, and in that time, I did my solitary walk.
Hmm.
You have to do that solitary walk for a while,
Yep.
and you just have to learn where you fit in, where you don't fit in. I had some wonderful teachers and I was a part of some wonderful circles, in Phoenix Fire down in Florida, and I did some circles up in North Georgia and that sort of thing. And, I knew that this was my path. I just didn't find where I fit in.
Hmm.
And I was doing readings, I do tarot readings, and at that time I was doing the tarot readings at the Pagan Pride's Day in Savannah, Georgia. And that's where I met my high priestess. I actually gave her a reading, and it was pretty interesting. I thought it was a really good reading, and then I was introduced to her. I was invited, and then I'm like, you know what, this is my time because I do know
Hmm.
that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And she was the perfect teacher for me. And I figured out why the other paths didn't work for me. I know a lot of people get thrown off or get discouraged when they're searching for a teacher and they're just going from this place to that place to the other place and they're like, this doesn't really fit you know, into me. It doesn't really sing to my soul, so to speak. But, you know, I do believe that don't get discouraged, don't stop looking. When it's ready in your time, it will come. And that was another thing because at those times, I'm a mother to three children. So I had, the children were little. And it wasn't until they grew up, some were able to take care of themselves, that I was able to devote a lot of time to myself.
Right.
And one thing people do not realize is that this path is very much into the academia. It is very much into learning and growing, and it's so knowledge based because you have so much to learn. There's so much history on this path.
Right.
But that's basically that's how it all ran down, And I was actually introduced to people, and I've always been a writer. I like to write. I was a blogger, and so the next thing you know, I was writing for the magazine, the Witches Brew magazine, and I also had a radio show on the Cauldron Radio.
Oh,
I did
really?
the Astro
Cool.
Tarot show, and that's where I would do an astrology reading in the beginning, and then I would end it with divination and just show you how it can tie into one another and how those energies can just help you. They kind of work with each other to help you.
Hmm.
So, that's there you go.
So you're good friends with my well, who I consider my good friend and sister Melissa
Yes,
from Cauldron.
Melissa Anderson is very dear to me. Yes.
I'm glad to hear that because yeah, she and I are good friends. We've known each other for quite a while now, and I truly respect what she's doing. And
Oh
we've
yes.
had many conversations, and she's tried to help push me along and what I need to do. So I've been
Yeah,
very
she's
thankful
she's
for
really
that.
good. I just don't think that she gets the recognition that she deserves, but
No,
she's one of those that likes to work in the background anyway. So she's,
yeah,
she's really good at finding talent in people and those that are kind of hidden.
that's
So,
true.
yeah.
And plus, getting your start at a Pagan Pride Day is a really good outlet.
Yeah.
I've known many people who have had their start just from being a part of a Pagan Pride Day, whether it being uh, helping with logistics, being there to volunteer, or even being a vendor.
Right. And that's basically how I got involved in it was in the beginning when the very first, I believe it was 2005.
Hmm.
No, it wasn't 2005. That's bad. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the year that Pagan Pride first began. I
Oh,
did help. I did help out with that and volunteer. I remember doing all that as it built. It was building, and you get to know these people. But from that, I met a good friend who later on became like my partner in crime, and we put together the Savannah Mystics Fair.
hmm.
And what that was is being in the pagan world, we were able to meet new readers and things like that. So we would have these events and get those people to come in and get the vendors to come in and it was just fun. It was just nice to be around there and it would be a moment for people to do readings, to get themselves known, to help build themselves a clientele, that sort of thing. So it was a wonderful thing for me because it helped open the door for me in so many different ways.
Hmm. Let's see. Just had someone. Oh, in fact, I believe it's Dragon Rose. Um, Made a comment saying that the year that her youngest son was born was the first year for Savannah Pagan Pride. So it must be a friend of
Ah,
yours.
yes, it is. That's actually my student. She's my first degree.
Oh, very good. Welcome to Iowa Pagan News. Appreciate you being a part of it. Um, as I say, I do see that you're present. If you've got a micro webcam that you'd like to activate, so that way, if you want to be a part of the video with us, you sure can. I welcome you to be a part of it. Um, Otherwise, yeah, feel free to comment all you want there, dear. Um, but yeah, now um, I don't all know that obtaining your degrees of Wicca, it is very much a learning process. And
Mm,
I respect that a lot, even though I don't really consider myself to be Wicca or Wiccan. Uh, I consider myself to be pretty much spiritually pagan. In fact, it goes hand in hand with my Native American heritage that I follow as well. But yeah, every day is a learning process in this. I mean, you never stop learning.
that is the absolute truth. And I have shamanic training. So a part of in my DNA, I do have Native American. Um, the it's just a small percentage, but my dad's
Mhm.
mother was full-blooded Chickasaw and Choctaw. So, and you can see that through the guys. The dark hair, the dark skin, but all
Mhm.
the girls took on the Scottish with the red hair and the green eyes. So, but I do understand that because I was living in Savannah, and Savannah is very much known for its root work, its hoodoo. So I did get into that world. Did a lot of work in the paranormal field there. And when you get, and that was actually, my job. I worked for ghost tours companies, and we would do investigations and things like that. So you start getting into that crowd, and you start learning who people are. And I understand, and even with the Appalachian, um, the folk magic there, that even those things do pull because, that's a part of us. That's who we are.
Mhm.
It's really, you really feel pulled to certain things. But, my path and the European Celt, it's not very far away from Druidry, actually. And that's what people don't really understand is that, this is a path of, and it's a path of experiences. And my path, just like that one, was also orally taught, just like
Mhm.
many of them. And we're not one of those that just are open to everyone. We are a closed circle, so we are a closed tradition. So
Right.
whenever you see one of us doing a ritual or something out in public, you're like, oh hey, because it's not something that we do. If you are, we do have our gatherings and stuff, and we invite other people, of course, and mostly those people that we invite are people that are, kind of steady on their path already,
Right.
mostly elders. So, we have that, but um, it's it's one of those things. It's very earthy. It's so earthy, and it was this path is what allowed me to really um, to understand the God as much as I can, you know, to understand the different roles and how important that masculine energy is, like that God energy.
Mhm.
When you come from, I come from being a Southern Baptist, so that masculine energy was very threatening. And you see people, now that are just coming to paganism and they really don't understand what it's about. And they start bringing in the things from their past into this. And it's like, wait a minute, this isn't Christianity, this is paganism.
Right.
You're not going to hell because, this, that, and the other. It's just, I noticed that a lot, but that was something that I had to go through and I had to learn how to get past that. And it takes time, it's not overnight. It does
No,
take
it's not.
time to rewire the mind.
Right. And that's the one
Mm-hmm.
thing I have noticed a lot here lately, especially with our newcomers that are just finding their path and starting to ask questions. Um, and when they're not getting the what I feel to be correct answers, that's when, and you were just saying is that they're also instilling their own background into
Yeah,
what they're trying to do, and it counteracts what they're trying to do.
correct. I believe that as well. Um, what I see is the newer ones are like, oh, I'm going to do a spell. I'm going to do a spell. They want to get straight to that spell work. And I can understand, and I'm sure you can. You can understand that
Mhm.
pull.
Yes, I
But
do.
one of the first goals that we have is to know thyself. Know thyself. Then the second is know thy craft. And if you are just beginning on this path, you do not know thyself and you do not know thy craft.
That's true.
And it's just, I always say, look, start reading, start finding your foundation. And, then you get, people fight back and, oh, you can just do what you want to do. And I was like, well, sure, you can do whatever you want to do.
True,
It don't make
but
it don't
you
make it
don't.
right or it don't make it good for you.
Right. Yeah, because you don't
But
wanna you don't want to leave it open like that for them, because I've had people come to me asking me
Hmm.
about doing spell work, and it's
Oh yeah.
like, myself, I've only done two in the entire time that I've been on my path, and that was done very carefully, and
Hmm.
I made sure that it wasn't going to come back and bite me, because you start just kind of going, uh, taking this lightheartedly and not really taking the time to really read into it and know what you're doing, it can come back and bite you. And
Oh, absolutely.
that's what I tell people when they're trying to come to me and ask me for spells. Like, I am not the right person you want to ask for this, but I can put you in touch with either the right person, or I can lead you on to information where you can start reading about it,
Hmm.
because I want people to have the right information.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the things, back in the day when I began my path, everything wasn't so easy to find. I
Right.
mean, you were lucky. I was from a small town. So to find a pack of tarot cards in this bookstore was just, amazing.
Right.
And it was really hard to find information. And now you have this internet that is just full of any kind of information that you could possibly want to find, but not all of it is correct. And
No.
that's the sad thing.
That.
And you hear things about people um, writing books and they really didn't write them. It was someone else and different names, and it's just we
Hmm.
have to really look at that. And when we talk about reading books, we mean to read books from well-known authors, from
Right.
those that have been around, for a long time. And a lot of people, you know, Aleister Crowley gets different kind of views, but still, he has some wonderful material out there. I don't suggest a beginner to go after it,
No.
but I mean,
Why?
in the occult world, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But still, I wouldn't suggest somebody that says, I think this is my path. I think paganism is something I should do. I would not send them that way.
No, I wouldn't either. In fact, the
Right.
the one book I swear by for newcomers
Mhm.
is always been what I call the Big Green Book, and that was by uh, basically it's called Paganism. It's the Big Green Book, by uh, River Higginbotham. Yeah, if I recall right. But that's the main book that I put newcomers in
Mhm.
touch. I tell them that's one of the first books that they want to start off with, because that's one
Right.
of the more introductory books that you're going to find, and it's a good starter base, and then work your way up to other books, which I tend to do. I tend to recommend to people, because over the years I've been doing this, I've developed enough contacts with a lot of our authors in the pagan community to know
Right.
who I can rely on, and um, where I can send people to.
Right. 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 And I think that's a good thing. I know a lot of people they don't want to. It's like I don't need a teacher. I don't need a guide. I don't need a mentor or anything. Yeah, you do, because this is you're diving into a world that you have no idea about. When you're looking at energy and when you're looking at casting spells, well, let's break this down. What are you doing? You're manipulating energy. And when
Mm,
you are manipulating energy, you are manipulating the whole, not just this one little thing you want. It's all the energy that is related to that.
Mm.
So, are you really ready to take on the responsibility of what this little spell will do? Of
Right.
how this little your intentions, because most people, let's face it, they're in passion, or they're excited, they're like, I'm in love, or all this kind of mad, or all this kind of different kind of feelings, and
Hmm.
they're not balanced, and they're not centered, and they're not working with what they're trying to really do,
Right.
so they're just flying off the handle, and that flying off the handle makes things makes other things fly off the handle. you know
Right.
I've had many people come to me and say, how do you stop this? And I'm like, well, after you break a dam open, how do you stop the dam from flowing?
Right.
There's things that you can do to kind of ease, but we have to really be conscious of what we are doing.
Hmm.
And I think that many times, with all of this information out there, the sacredness gets lost. So, if way back, it was wonderful to be able to light a candle to have light, and then we could use pen and paper. And now pen and paper is just simple to us. It's just like, oh, pen and paper, we expect it there. And we've lost the special kind of meaning of how wonderful that was for people to be able to use ink, a pen,
Hmm.
and dip in the ink and write on the paper. And I feel that in our world right now, it's so when you have places like Five Below, Sephora, all these other kind of places selling, um, white sage, Palo Santo, all this other different stuff. And, I know that it puts it in the hands of people that are trying to learn. I understand that. But at the same time, we have to really be careful not to allow it to just wash the great stuff away, the good energy, not
Hmm.
to wash away the masterpiece that lies there.
That's correct.
And I think that as we are, going forward in our path with everything that's happening, I do feel that more and more people will start looking to those that have been on the path, that are seasoned practitioners, and to get some help. I do feel that. I do see that. I remember one time I went to this gathering. It was the summer. It was midsummer, and we went to the beach. And I shouldn't have been doing this. I was doing a ritual on the beach, and I'm gonna tell you something. It about got me. But I should have known better. But hey, it's midsummer, right?
Right.
But in doing that, and I was talking to the lady that organized it afterwards, she said just a lot of people are just not serious about their spirituality anymore. And I'm like, why not?
Mm.
Why not? If you're here in this, in paganism, especially, because if you're in paganism, where is your spirit? Well, why not be into your spirituality? I'm not saying to go in my path. I'm not saying to go in anybody's path. I'm saying if you walk a path of paganism, period, that's a big
Mhm.
umbrella,
Right.
that you should be serious. You should be serious. And if you're not, you shouldn't be doing those things anyway.
True. That is very true. Because that's why I try to explain to people that when you're just discovering paganism for the first time and trying to find out the right information and uh, try to come to an understanding of
Mm,
the path that you should be following, that that path is all to yourself. That is something that you need to really learn. You need to take the time to really
mhm,
think about your path and to know what direction that you need to be following, that's going to be conducive and it's going to be in your best interest for your own spirituality. um, that's why I try to convey to people. Uh, And one thing that I was gonna, this is kind of a funny issue that came up at one of the gatherings I was at back a few years ago. They had brought in a elder from, and uh, geography is never my good suit either, but basically he was a, gentleman that came from uh, Canadian city just north of Seattle. Um, and
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Thank you. Appreciate that. Um Basically, he was a, uh, he also was a third degree. He's also a master of Tai Chi. He's also a master of, well, basically, he taught us how to do a form of Tai Chi, but also creating a circle of energy between the circle
Mm,
of us. And one thing that we did not really realize or mean to was that we had that energy whipped up so much that we kind of looked at each other and said, okay, what do we do with this now? And so
mm,
he had to teach us how to bring it down to the
mm.
level to where we could uh, safely kind of bring it down and disperse it back into the universe without causing any damage, so to say.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so he had to teach us how to do that. Plus, he taught. There was so much that he was teaching us that day, and uh, I really respected him for the way that he took the time to work with the group of us and to make sure that we understood what we were doing.
Hmm. I incorporate in my background. I took Tong Sudo Mugak Kwan, which is an ancient form of Korean martial arts, and that is where Taekwondo and Hapkido come from. But
Mhm.
I do feel that that has really helped me, and um, when I can remember to do so, and I need to be better at this, I love to do qigong. Um, Qigong is really about moving that energy and about the breath and the release. And it's kind of like Tai Chi, but
Mhm.
it's just a different form. And I can understand because of when you feel that. Now, my instructor, he was Buddhist, so whenever we would come in to practice, um, the incense would be lit, the altar would be set, and it was meditation before the sparring began. And and it was really cool. I really loved martial arts because, and I still do, I still love martial arts because it is so much of, and it's not just, it's the movements, it's the energy, it's everything that is involved in that. It's all a part of that earthy
Mhm.
energy. It's all
Right.
of that realm. I don't even it's that magical spiritual flow. It's all together, and it's beautiful. It is really beautiful. And you speak of walking on your own. I walked on my own for about 14 years. 14 years I was solitary. Um, I learned from Alexandrian, learned from Ding Nin, learned from Gardnerian. Um, I've been around that. I've been around people that taught me a lot. People that are in places now taught me lots of things about um, the craft, and I wouldn't have learned that if I didn't take that time to walk. And again, 14 years. So, and granted, my children were young, you know, but
Mhm.
still, it takes time. It takes time to have this develop. And I always like the saying of the lotus coming out of the mud, up through the water to bloom, and the rose peeling apart, petal by petal. Um, it's just it. all of that has just given me such a different view of where we live and how
Hmm.
blessed we are to be here. I just wish other people, if other people could see the world the way that I see it, it would be great.
Yeah, I get the sentiment quite. Yeah, I understand the sentiment quite well, and
Hmm.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm with you completely with that.
Hmm.
Um, if people would just learn to to take the time to study, take the time to read up everything that you can, and use the old adage that I tell everybody: take in what you feel is right for you, toss out the rest in the trash.
Hmm.
If it doesn't feel right for you, don't. But take in what you know that is going to be right for you and what you feel comfortable with.
Hmm. That's one thing I'm glad you touched on that, because what many people do not know, because there's a lot of people that are afraid of, you say the word coven and people just,
Mhm. Yeah,
because of
you're in
different,
the headlights.
different scenarios. Right. But, there is this thing, seeker's rights. And it goes through those. And I can't remember the person that, it come out of Texas, I know. I can't remember the person that actually developed this, but it was developed because the fact that, you need to learn to ask these people questions. Even in Savannah, there was somebody that was claiming to be a Gardnerian high priestess and saying that she was registered and everything, but yet I looked for her, and of course, I know some people, and I'm like, hey, do you mind helping me? And they ask who they know, they ask who they know, you know how it is,
Right.
and nobody has heard of this person, and I'm like, hey, I don't know who this person is. Did they tell you any about their upline, anything like that? And they're like, well, no. And she wouldn't even give them her real name.
Oh,
And in our world, I get it sometimes because, depending where you are, especially, Savannah, Georgia is still the Bible Belt, you
right.
know.
Right.
Um, but she wouldn't give them her real name. And I can kind of get that for privacy's sake. I get that. But if it was even like she wouldn't allow anybody um, that went to her house to learn or anything to tell anybody else her magical name.
Hmm.
And I'm like, and all I have was bits and pieces. So yeah, and you can ask people questions. Ask them who their upline is. If they are claiming, I'm a third degree priestess of the European Celtic tradition. Who is your upline? I can tell you who my upline is. High Priestess Rain Dove. I can tell you who that is. I don't have a problem,
Hmm.
and other people shouldn't have a problem either. And I do know that, in this case, as far as Gardnerians, from my understanding, they can tell their upline. They can tell
Hmm.
their upline. So, but yeah, ask questions. You shouldn't be made to put yourself in a position that's going to, get yourself arrested. Um, that you are, like, say, for instance, you make jewelry for a living. You shouldn't have to give people, in your coven, you shouldn't have to give them stuff, um, because that's what you do. That's, that's your skill. So
Right.
that's what you get paid to do. There's a difference in gifting somebody and then somebody expecting you to give it to them. There's
Right.
a big difference. But, the Seeker's Bill of Rights is a really good thing for this community, considering how and what has been going on. Yeah.
I totally agree with you completely. Um, Now, with you also being a writer, um, how long have you been? How long have you been doing that? Have you ever
Ooh.
considered? I mean, I know you said you've been a blogger as well. You got your first
Mhm.
started doing that. I mean, have you ever considered uh, doing any formal writing in the form of like a book or anything?
Yes, I have. I'm actually working on that now, and I don't even have a name for it. It just kind of it's like when I'm sitting there by myself and pieces of it just come to me. It's almost like I'm one of those that has the dreams. I have those crazy dreams that
Mm-hmm.
always mean something. And in these dreams, I, I, I I have seen people, my loved ones that have passed, they come and see me there. And when I was doing paranormal research, the people that I was studying, I would actually have dreams of them. And they would take me walking through the streets of Savannah and show me the different numbers. It's like this wasn't this number, this was actually different. It was, and I could see it move, but I couldn't see exactly what the number was. And when I went back and I was able to get into the society there, the historical society's library, and I
Mm-hmm.
was able to read through some of the actual history, and I saw where that was changed. The addresses, the numbers were changed around, and it's really wild. So this book that I'm writing, I'm taking these things too and adding them in there, and I don't know. I'm working for one. It's like a healer's guide, but because a lot of healers, there's a lot of people out there. I'm a healer. I'm a healer, and then you know, you always attract these people that
Tell
are
me
like, I
about it.
must have the weirdo sign on. But that's
Tell
a
me
part of
about
it
it.
because you are a lighthouse.
Well, and I've been in that same boat. Is
Hmm.
when I was learning about not only my pagan path, but my Native American path,
Hmm.
because to me they go hand in hand. Um, I've been shown, literally shown, that I was meant to be a healer, and I think that
Hmm.
um, that always, to me, has coincided with my background also as a former EMT and current first responder, and I've been shown several times that um,
Right.
not just today, but in the past, I was a healer, and
Hmm.
I've also had to learn the hard way of uh, kind of keeping myself closed off to certain people. Otherwise, I wind up taking on their pain, and which causes problems for me, and that physically wise. So, I mean, yeah, I've had to learn things the hard way, but again, it's a learning experience.
Oh yes. Oh, very much so. That's where in this, that's where I, boundaries, boundaries,
Hmm.
and that's why I love Saturn. I have like this. I have different feelings for every planet, but Saturn is one of those planets that a lot of people do not like because that's the father. It's
Hmm.
also father time. He's the one that reminds you that you got to get this done now. Time's wasting. But the um, he's the planet of boundaries, and these are healthy boundaries. Boundaries are so there's I don't know why people don't like the boundaries, but boundaries are there to protect us. You know,
Yeah.
they do protect you and healthy boundaries, and that's one thing that. And I know we were talking a little bit before the show that Mercury went retrograde today, and everybody's like, oh, but you can learn to work with this stuff because Mercury allows us to slow down so that we can work with this stuff. But
Hmm.
as Mercury, this one is in Mercury is going retrograde in Aquarius, and this is really going to bring about us developing, um, healthy boundaries, emotional boundaries as well. We're coming up on the full moon, and that full moon is going to be in Cancer. This is going to be highly our emotions are going to be high here. We're
Right.
really going to be looking at our home, and as we look back at astrology and what it has been telling us, this whole 2 years has been about what are your priorities? What are your real priorities? In the time that we were on lockdown, a lot of us were spending more time with our families and stuff, and we realized that, you know what, this is what's really important for me. Working 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, that's not good for me. I want to be with my family.
Right.
And all that's a part of the boundaries that you're creating for yourself. And
Right.
I think that um, this is where we're headed. We're really wanting to get into simplicity. I think a lot of us are now saying, you know what, we just want things simpler. We're stressed out all the time. We're having to do this. We have to think about our job. We have to think about our children. We have to think about paying bills, making
Right.
sure the house notes paid, the insurance, all this different kind of stuff. And then we're supposed to be able to have fun, you know,
Yeah.
and we're
It's,
really right. A lot of people are downsizing their homes. Um, they're I have a friend of mine. She loved her new cars and stuff, and she says, "Nope, I'm tired of it." She went and bought her a good, reliable car that's not one of these brand new cars. It's a good, reliable car, and it takes good care of her. But she doesn't have a car payment, and she has
hmm,
lower insurance. So, you know, I see more and more people doing this,
yeah.
growing their own gardens, the tiny houses and things like that. So it's really bringing us back around to our roots, to our core of what is truly important. What do we really value? What do we want to invest our energy in?
Right.
So,
And I have talked about that a lot, especially with um, getting back to, especially teaching uh, our younger people what our ancestors actually did by living off the land, growing their own food, um,
right.
living in smaller homes, um,
Mhm.
and getting back to doing things the old ways. Because that's one thing that I tell people all the time. Okay, they ask me, okay, what's your spiritual path? And I tell them it's an eclectic path of antiquity, which to me resembles putting value in the old ways.
Right. I agree with you there. I really do. I think there's, technology's great. It's allowing us to do this.
Hmm.
And I love technology, but how are we using it?
Right.
There's what's really going to show our not only our maturity, but our level of evolution. How
Hmm.
are we using this um, this form of communication? Because look at
Right.
what we're able to do. If more people band together, and if we were bringing more people together with like minds and things like that, imagine what could be done.
Oh
And
yes.
it's like we have to focus on what is real. We have to know, discernment. Discernment's been in my head a lot here lately. And this is about learning what is real and learning what is an illusion. Those are the biggest things that we need to see here. And we need
Exactly.
to learn what harmonic balance is. Harmonic balance. Um, I feel that, especially nowadays, everybody's staying at home and, you get on social media. There's all kinds of different people that have, made the plunge into the pagan world, and very few understand it.
Right.
Um, so it's like, now we're at a point to where, okay, that's great, but let's really work together and let's, make this better. I'm always trying to look forward. I always want to, look forward. Can we do to bring the community together? What can we do to enrich the highest good? the highest good, not what we want, but what is the highest good. Because as this community is growing, the others are going to be falling away. So
Right.
we're going to have to deal with that as well. You know, People like to think, well, oh, this, that, and the other. But, when it comes down to it, when you say you're pagan, most people think that pagans are just nothing but nasty devil worshippers.
Right. And that
They're
is the bad
horrible, you
stigmatism.
know? And that's right. That is the word that has carried over. That's why, a lot of the times I don't like using the word witch because such of the negative connotation that it has a hold of it. And, it has seen so much blood. And when you say, oh, I'm a witch, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? You know, been accused of, I've been asked if I eat babies. It's like,
Yeah, I
probably
know.
shouldn't tell them I love to kiss on my kids' feet, right? With the babies, you just love the little feet. But I'm telling you, it's just we have to get a grip on things, and we have to use things properly the way that they need to be used in ways that's going to advance us and not take us
Mhm.
back. We can take this technology and we can use it to advance us and still get back to the earth, understand that there's a reason for these seasons. That's, walking the wheel of the year. That is walking the wheel of the seasons for the earth. And
Mhm.
you are, walking with mother is what I say. Take a walk on that wheel and you learn what each of them represents and how you feel at each level. We're coming up on Imbolc on the second. Well, how do you feel at this time? What's going on in your life? Relate this. Then find out, what does that mean? What does Imbolc mean?
Mhm.
And then see how that is represented in your life and learn how to use that. Learn how to walk with the earth instead of just,
Yeah.
rolling the dice and seeing what you get. So,
I completely agree because
mhm,
my main thing here that I have been trying to communicate with people, and my ultimate goal is to working at uniting the pagan community and
mhm.
to bring people together so nobody has to feel like they're doing this by themselves, that they can
Right.
learn to stand together to help each other. And the statement that I use constantly here is building community with unity.
Mhm,
And that is my whole aspect, is working with people to help them understand that, hey, you don't have to be doing everything by yourself,
mhm,
that you can be a part of the community in general and have people to rely on to be able to gain good quality and correct information, so
mhm.
that it's a betterment for yourself.
Right. Right. And one thing that we have to realize as well is that we all have our own unique gifts. We are all gifted in something. And,
Mhm.
I'll see where people say, well, they can do that and stuff. And don't compare yourself. You are an individual. And, what I like to say about our birth chart is that's our individual expression. So
Mhm.
we came here to express ourselves energetically in a certain way. So nobody is going to be like me, but nobody's going to be like you either.
Right.
And when it comes down to healing, no two healers are the same. Uh, I'm a Reiki master as well. I've had students, I mean, not students, but I've had clients that come to me and went to other Reiki masters. And they're like, it's a total different experience. And I'm like, well, yes,
Hmm.
everybody has their own unique energetic expression that they came here to express. And you have to get over the fact of comparing yourself to other people because
Right.
we're not, that's called conformity. you know, you
It's
don't
not
want to be, you don't want to be like other people. You want to be you,
right, and
uniquely
it's
you.
not healthy doing that either.
No, no, you will never be good enough.
No, and you know, I mean, I know how to perform Reiki without
Hmm.
even really knowing it, and that's about as far as the extent of it goes. I mean, I know how to perform it, I know how to do it, but I've never had formal training, and I one thing that's probably one thing I should do is to
Hmm.
undergo formal training for it, so that
Right, get
I
your
can
attunements.
right and uh, because I've never claimed to be master at it. Um, here again,
All right.
I've used the old saying that I know enough to help and I also know enough to get myself into trouble, and
All right.
that's about the
Well,
extent of it.
the attunements, there's different systems have different attunements, but through each attunement, you get signs, you get these symbols placed into your energetic field, and they allow you to open up better to that. Um, when when actual Reiki came about, everybody practices chakra work with Reiki now, but chakras were not a part of that original um, part of Reiki that Dr. Yasui uh, was gifted with.
Hmm.
He was just gifted in, where to place the hands, how to do the energy, and how to bring that forward. But I do feel that adding chakras to it is very important because those are our energy centers. And yes, we normally concentrate on those seven main chakras, and those are good, but there's so much more. There's so many more
Oh
different
yes.
layers. But when you're just starting out, just try to concentrate on those, those chakras and learning those. And it really does help when you know how to work with the chakras when doing healing
Hmm.
because you can easily, like work it out. You know the energy of the wheel that you're working with. So
Hmm.
you're able to get that moving, you
Right.
know, get that energy moving.
Yep.
So,
Uh,
mhm.
one of these days, uh, once I get my full mobility back and then able to do what I need to, so I can learn,
Mhm.
then yeah, I'll probably undergo formal training. But as we were discussing offline, that dealing
Right.
with Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is basically taking away a lot of my mobility. So I have to wait on that. That's on the back burner until things get to improving.
Mhm. I understand. Yeah. Sometimes we have to go through these things so we can understand. That's one of the paths of a healer that a lot of us don't want to embrace. Is that in order to understand and have compassion, we must first have to walk that path.
Right.
So,
That's
in
true.
order to understand pain, one must know pain and know what it can do to the body and know how it can make the body and knows what it know what um, to know what pain does to the brain, to everything, every part of your body.
Hmm.
Um, in order to know that, you have to experience it, and that's you know, unfortunately,
That's
that's
true.
usually how it goes. I'm one of those. It's like I don't judge anybody. No, 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 because every time I have ever judged anybody, anything, I have had to go through it. So, mm-mm.
Right.
I don't do that no more. I've learned my lesson.
I agree with you,
But
dear.
oh yeah, yeah. But that's the wounded healer. And that was
Now, let's see. I know that you're on Facebook,
Hmm.
and we were talking a little bit earlier. Um, Now you say you don't have a website right now. Uh, I mean, do you have a way that people can get in touch with you though?
Um, they can email me at theowlseer@gmail.com. It's THE, then OWLSEER @gmail.com. Um, but yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram under Sirona Rose. I am also on TikTok on Sirona Rose. Um, I do have my own group where it's my teaching group. It's the Cauldron of Awen, it's AWEN.
Oh,
And I post things there. Um, Try to post different things. I've been doing a color of the day, and I try to do a stone every now and then. And I work 40 hours a week. I have a daytime job, so keeps me quite
mm-hmm.
busy. And then here lately, it's just been super busy. I don't know what is going on, but it's just been so crazy. But yeah, they can find me on those social medias, or they can email me either way.
Very cool. Well, I definitely
Oh,
want
YouTube,
to. Oh, okay.
YouTube, um, Dragon Rose Creations on YouTube.
Oh, very cool.
Mhm.
All right. So basically, I want to take, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming and joining me this evening. It's, to me, it's always not just being able to form the connection and develop the rapport, whatnot, but it's also, it helps me to learn from others as well of doing this. So I want to thank you for taking the time out to join me tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. I've enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed talking to you. And I hope everybody enjoyed the interview. And I'll be happy to ask or answer any questions or even ask questions because I do ask them. I ask lots of questions to people. So they're more than welcome to, find me and ask me any questions. I'll help them as much as I can.
Very cool. All right, you've been listening to another edition of Iowa Pagan News on the Prairie Land Radio Network. We've been talking with Sirona Rose, and this has been a real fun time being able to uh, get to sit down with her and get to know her for what she's doing in the community. And it's been a real pleasure. So, if you have questions for her, feel free to reach out to her anytime at either email. Like I said, she's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You've got multiple platforms to find her. So if you have questions for her, feel free to reach out. And as always, if you have questions for me, you can email me directly at earl@iapnradio.net. Also at Iowa Pagan News at Gmail. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as well, and also YouTube, because this will be posted on our YouTube channel as well as being here on Facebook. And as always, I want to say pleasant journeys to everyone. Have a great rest of your, well, the weekend coming up. For those of us in the Midwest, stay warm, as right now we're dealing with this snowstorm. So be sure to keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, stay warm. And if you need the assistance, please reach out. Have a good night, folks. And we will be seeing you again next time right here on Iowa Pagan News.